Hello, my name is Trina Ganguly, and today I will be going over the skeletal system. And so for this video today, I'll be discussing an introduction to the skeletal system. The skeletal system is divided into two parts, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton includes the skull, which is right here, the spinal column, which is right here, the ribs, and the sternum, right in the center. And the appendicular skeleton includes all the upper and lower extremities, such as the shoulder girdle over here, and the pelvic girdle right here. And so there are 5 functions of the skeletal system in the body, which can be split into 2 categories, which are external and internal. The external functions are structure, movement, and protection, and the internal functions are blood cell production and storage. The skeletal system includes 4 basic components, although some textbooks will include the joints also. And so these 5 are the bones, which make up most of the mass of the skeletal system, the cartilage, which acts mainly as padding, the ligaments, which usually connect bones to bones, the tendons, which join muscles to bones, and the joints. And so bones in the human body come in 6 major shapes, which are long, short, flat, irregular, sesamoid, and sutural, and they're composed of webs of collagen fibers reinforced with calcium and phosphorus. And so the function of flat bones is to protect internal organs such as the brain, heart, and pelvic organs. Flat bones are somewhat flattened and can provide protection like a shield, and they can also provide large areas of attachment for muscles. There are flat bones in the skull, which are the occipital, parietal, frontal, nasal, lacrimal, and vomer bones. In the thoracic cage, there are the sternum and ribs in the pelvis, which are the ilium, ischium, and pubis bones. And moving on, there is also the long bones, which function to support the weight of the body and facilitate movement. The long bones, longer than they are wide, and include the femur, which is the longest bone in the body, as well as relatively small bones in the fingers. Long bones are mostly located in the appendicular skeleton and include bones in the lower limbs, which include the tibia, the fibula, the femur, the metatarsals, and the phalanges, along with bones in the upper limbs, which include the humerus, the radius, the ulna, the metacarpals, and also the phalanges. And in addition, short bones are about as long as they are wide, and they are located in the wrist and ankle joints and provide stability and some movement. And the carpals in the wrist, which include the scaphoid, the lunate, the triquetral, the hamate, the physiform, the capitate, the trapezoid, and trapezium are all examples of short bones. Also, some other examples of short bones are the tarsals in the ankles, which include the calcaneus, the talus, the navicular, the cuboid, the lateral cuneiform, the intermediate cuneiform, and the medial cuneiform. Furthermore, there is also the irregular bones, which vary in shape and structure and do not particularly fit into any of the other types of bone categories. They often have a fairly complex shape, which helps protect internal organs. For example, the vertebrae, which are the irregular bones of the vertebral column, they protect the spinal cord, and similarly the irregular bones of the pelvis, which are the pubis, ilium, and ischium, they protect the organs in the pelvic cavity. To add on, there are also the sesamoid bones, which are bones embedded into the tendons. These small round bones are commonly found in the tendons of the hands and knees and feet, and these bones function to protect tendons from stress and wear. For instance, the patella, which is commonly referred to as the kneecap right here, it is an example of a sesamoid bone. There's also the Sutro Bones, which are formed due to ossification centers in or near sutures of the flat bones of the human skull, which is right over here. There's a slight little fault line over here. Those are understood to be the sutures. And they're usually regarded as normal variants. And lastly, a seventh type of bone is known as the pneumatized bones. These are hollow bones. They're filled with space for air. And these kinds of bones can be found in your inner eyebrows, under your eyes, around the nose, around your lower cheeks, and essentially amongst your sinuses. And so now we will be getting into the 8 cranial bones over here. So here we can see that there's the parietal on the both sides. There's the occipital down here. There's the temporal over here on both sides, and then there's the frontal over here. There's the sphenoid over here, and then there's the ethmoid, which is inward slightly but cannot really be seen right now. And now we will discuss the bones of the axial and appendicular skeleton. So in the axial skeleton, it includes the skull, and part of that is the mandible in the skull, which is this bone right here, the jawbone. And then there's the hyphoid, the vertebrae back here, over here, and then there's the sternum over here, the ribs on this side, more of the vertebrae here, the sacrum down here, and then there's the coccyx over here. This is the coccyx. Here's the sacrum over here. This is the vertebrae, the whole vertebrae right there, the ribs, the sternum. And then the appendicular skeleton is over here, so this is the clavicle. Over here is the scapula. This is the humerus right here. Over here is the pelvic bone. And then this is the ulna over here, and this is the radius. And there are all the carpal bones in the hand, which are the metacarpals and the phalanges. And then on the leg, this is the largest bone of the body, the longest bone of the body, which is the femur bone. And then there's the patella, which is the knee. There is also the tibia over here, this bigger one. And then this is the fibula. And then there's the foot bones, which are the tarsal bones, which count for the metatarsals and phalanges. And within the face, there are about 14 bones in total, which are the nasal bones over here, the lacrimal bones on the corners of the eye, the inferior nasal concha. There's 2 of them, and they're towards the sides of the nasal bone. There's the maxilla, which is this area on both sides, the front top portion of the mouth area. And then there's the vomer, which is inside the nasal bone also. And then on the cheekbone is the zygomatic. And there's also the palatine bones over within the nasal cavity. And so furthermore, to go a little deeper into the vertebrae, so there's the cervical bones up here, over here, and then this long part is the thoracic, and then more towards the bottom is the lumbar, and then there's the sacrum close to the coccyx, and then the coccyx is the tailbone down there. And so a clinical example for studying the skeletal system would be, as a physician, if a patient came in with a broken toe, it is important to understand which part of the toe they broke so we can understand what kind of cast should be put in for that particular case, such as if it was more of the bones towards the closer to the angular area, then maybe a whole foot cast or something, or if it's like just the top portion of the toe, like the phalanges area, then it would be something that would be more isolated to the toe, to the specific toe area on the outside in that area. And so that is my clinical example and my intro for the skeletal system. Thank you.